Hello class. In this video, I'm going to show you how to save your data into a text file. And you probably watched the previous video which talk about a text file. The text file means that file you can open in a text editor like Go Block and read the data or see the data inside. So, um, so far, have you ever wondered um, if you want to save your data when you run your program, you want to save your data so that you can look at it later? Up to this point, you cannot do that because when you run your program, the output go to the screen, and when your program terminates, all the data is gone. It's lost. You don't have it anymore after you terminate your program or your program finishes execution. So if you want to save your data, you need to save it into a file so that you can look at the data later, so that you don't have to rerun your program every time to look at the data or to produce the data. So let's take a look at how you can do that. And actually, it's not that hard. Saving data to a file is similar to output the data to the screen using cout, but this time you save your data into a file and the syntax is very similar. This program is an example in Livebook. The program asks the user, let me scroll down here so we talk about the input and output. So the program asks the user for the starting amount of your saving, and it asks your annual percentage rate and the number of years you want to calculate so that it will print the data in a table. Um, so basically, the program will calculate the compound interest of your money, and the compound interest is on a monthly basis, not on a yearly. So the user program asks for the starting amount of your saving and the rate, and then the number of years, and then the program calls this function, produce saving table. It passes the amount, the APR or annual percentage rate, and the number of years, and the output or the data will be saved into a file called saving.txt. So let's take a look at how this function save the data into a file. So you are familiar with all the calculation. I'm not gonna explain all the calculation. I just explain how you save the data into a file. And hopefully you still remember what constant definition is. Um, I just want to remind you in case you forgot. Constant means after you declare a variable and you assign the value to that variable, you cannot change this variable during your program execution. Or later on, if you want to change this to something else, it won't work. That's the syntax error. The compiler will catch it. So we assign these value. Year column width is 5 and balance column width is 10. We will not be able to change this value during the course of execution or during the when you write the code for this program. And also notice that we use all uppercase for a constant, and multiple words are separated by underscore. That's the industry standard. That's the coding convention we use. So let's take a look at how you save your data into a file. You need to declare a output or OF stream variable, which stands for output file stream. So my variable name is out file. And in order to use this variable, you need to include fs stream. similar to the input file. You include our FS stream, and with the case of the input file, you say it's IF stream. Output files is OF stream. And this is the out file variable, which is the file handle. How do you save the data into that file? So I'm not going to explain all of this. You can read the code and try to figure it out. Basically, we are going to calculate the compound interest rate for saving. So the monthly MPR is monthly. Compound rate is the yearly divided by 12 multiplied by 0.01. So that's the MPR. Now, how do you open this file to save the data or for output? We declare our file variable, and then we say open, and we specify the file name in the double quote. And if you don't specify any other directory or folder information, the file is saved in the current working directory, the same directory with your executable, your C++ executable. And right now, I assume that that file doesn't exist. So when you open the file for output, if the file doesn't exist, this program will create this file. If the file already exists, it will override the contents of that file. So be careful when you open a file that already has data in it, you will override it. And then you may ask, what if I want to append more data to a file instead of override that file? So instead of just say open the file name, you say open the file name, comma, and then iOS : app, which stands for append. So later on, I'm going to rerun this code with append to see how we append more data to a file. So for now, assume that we don't care about existing data, we will override that file, or we create a new file if the file doesn't exist. All right, so let's look at line number 26. Where do we output this string? Cout. It means we output to the screen, right? And I'm going to use the same line, copy and paste this line, make a new line, but instead of say cout, I'm going to use my file handle. That's the variable I'm using up here. So instead of do cout, I say output to that file. You see the syntax is exactly the same. The only difference is instead of say cout, you use the output file stream. And to continue, you see we control the set precision to decimal places. And the way that you set precision is exactly the way you do it for cout. But instead of say cout, you do out file. That's the output file. And then also do set width and so on. So this is just control the output. It works exactly like you output to the screen. And this loop just loop through for month, the number of total months, increment by 1, and then calculate the interest, the balance, and then if the month is divisible by 12, that means we want to output for that year. And we will not output to the screen, we output to the file. So instead of say cout, we say out file, and then any control, output control and variable, any variable that you want to output, you use it exactly the way you do cout. And this loop will calculate the interest for the number of years that the user entered as an input parameter here, number of years, using the rate, the starting amount, and so on. And when you finish output outputting data into a file, into the output file, you need to close the file. So to make sure your data is saved correctly. And that's it. That's very simple. So let's see, let's run this program. And I want to show you my folder to see that, to make sure this file doesn't exist. If it does, I'm going to delete it. So I'm going to go to my folder. This is my current folder for my C++ program, the output to file. And you see this file already exists, right? So I'm gonna delete this file. It's gone. If I sort by the date, it's not there anymore, right? So I go back and I'm gonna run this program, starting amount. Let's say I start with $100. The annual rate is 5%. Number of years that I'm interested in is 10 years. And the program said save data into saving.txt. And this line, saving over time, I just want to do CL of what I save into the file and I want to show it on the screen so that the same line will show up in the output file. You see right here, let me rearrange the window. You see right here, I do CL, saving over times colon, exactly the same text, the same string that I say into our file. That's what you see right here. Just want to show the syntax. And I show you the folder before, and let's look at the folder now. You see this file is created with this timestamp. So let's open this file to see what's in there. You can either open this file or you're using any text editor. But currently I'm in here, so I'm going to use a Go block text editor. I say open, and you see this is a file right here. Open, and that's my output. Let's make the output bigger. So the the header says saving over times, year balance. So after year one, this is my balance, 105 something, because the rate is compound monthly. My interest rate is only 5%. So if I don't do compound monthly, it should be $105 after the first year. But I do compound monthly, so it's more than $105. And year two, I got 110, year three, and so on until year 10. That's how my loop do the calculations. It's only for 10 years. If I want more years, I just enter more years. So now that file exists, right? Let's say I'm going to rerun this program and you will see what happened if I already have that file. Remember that I saved the data for $100 and 5% into this file. Let's say I'm going to rerun it again with different data and see what happened to the existing file, the existing data. I'm going to run it again. This time, I'm going to start with 1000 instead of 100. And the annual percentage rate, I say 8%. In number of years, I say 20. So you will see that I enter a new set of data this time, right? Now, it saved the data into the file, and you see that my Go block recognize that the file has been changed outside of Go block. So I say, did you want to reload it? You will lose any unsaved data. I say yes. I will reload. So if I click here and I look at the data again, you see this is all new data. That's not my old data. This is new. That means I override my old data. I lost my old data. And let's close this and try append. So when I open the file, I will overwrite my data. However, in this run, I'm going to comment out this line. and I say append. That means I want to keep my existing data. I just want to append more data to the file, and then click save. If I run again, and let's say this time I'm going to use, let's say 200, just to make a difference from the last run, right? 200 percentage 9. Number of years, let's say 15. Hit enter, and the program say, yes, I save your data into saving.txt. And I'm gonna open the file again. You say open, and you see that this file is there. I say open, and then you see this is the old data I have in the previous run. 20 years, the starting balance 1000. In this current run, I start with 200. You still see the output on the right hand side. I start with 209%, and then this is what I got after 1 year, after 2 years, and so on. So the program append more data to existing data in the file. It doesn't overwrite the previous data, so I still have the previous run and the current run. So that's the difference between you open the file without specifying any flag, and with say with the flag say append. And that's all I have for the output for the file, text file output. Thanks for watching.